I'm George.
I'm Richie.
And this is 909 Kickz Podcast.
Today we have George and I's favourite DJ in the whole bunch of universes and multi-dimensions.
The king of hardcore.
King of hardcore. He's the king of pain. He's
the bad
our
guy.
favourite hardcore DJ.
We're going to keep that up.
Biasly the best hardcore DJ and producer, Sebastian Hoff, DJ Promo.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Massive honour. We've been following you since we were young.
Very young, yeah.
Yeah.
Very early days. And in our eyes, you revolutionised hardcore from what it was to what it is now. And we've been following you very closely and we appreciate everything you do.
Well, thank you.
And it's not just us. There's many people around the world. And, you know, at the show in Sydney for ESP, like we could see that in the crowd that were there. They were all there for you and that raw music that you create.
Thank you, guys.
It was an amazing set, by the way. A couple of sets. We got the luxury of watching you on Friday and Saturday night, and we were blown away by both sets.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
We went to Brisbane, and for those that don't know, and then we came back to Sydney to see him, and phenomenal. And both crowds vibing and just getting into it and doing what you do is amazing. So we're honoured to have you here.
All this praise, thanks you guys.
But no, it's
thanks.
to be had. You've earned it. So
you've earned far more than what we can say. Yeah.
So how's Australia treating you? You haven't been here since 2018, I believe.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
How's it going? And
I love it. I love it here. So I've been here a couple of times, so I know my way around the cities. Haven't been to Melbourne earlier, so it was the first time actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was nice to discover that city and meet up with a lot of old friends. It was really good. And the gigs were nice. Sydney was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like, you were there.
It was really good. Yeah, it was good to see a lot of young people there as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, new scene.
Absolutely.
It seems like so. It's
How was the Melbourne gig?
Yeah, it was also cool. Like totally different. It was a bit more challenging for me as a DJ. There clearly was some hardstyle, raw style DJs before me. So you had the younger kids came for the raw style, and then you had the gabbers came more for the early stuff that I was doing. So I was playing, I first grabbed like the guys that came from Millennium and early, and then after I tried to put some newer kicks in, like some of the foul remixes, you know, the colleagues that remixed it. And then I grabbed them, and then in the end it sort of came together. They were all, you know, so first one side of the room was dancing, then the other side, and then in the end...
You brought them all together.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's cool.
Is that how you do it? Do you ever plan your set, or do you wait for the crowd?
No, I don't plan ever. I did that when I was 16 for my first gig. I wrote down, when we still played vinyl, I wrote down all the pitches, you know, like
BPMs
bracket 1 is like pitch +1 and then pitch. And then I missed one transition and I was like, okay, throw away the paper. And since then I never really, you know, for big events, you sometimes try to make new mashups or new songs or new versions to have something special to play. Every few months I try to dig up some oldies that I forgot about, or you know, to keep it fresh for me also. But no, I always play from the get-go, and you never know what the DJ plays before you. They can, you know. So I always, of course, I have my favorite tracks. I think if you listen to all my sets, you hear a lot of songs that are similar, that are my key points that I need to play to sort of tell the story and what people expect me to play. And
and how do you compact that? Because you've made so much music, so many tracks. How do you compile it into one set? What's your thought process?
Mostly by success of the songs. I think, you know, people want to hear certain songs. Of course, you have your hits among all those. I don't know, I probably created hundreds of tracks. I don't know anymore. But like 20 or 30 of them are really like hits. So you sort of need to play them. So that's how you sort of... And then sometimes I chuck one in that I really like. That wasn't a hit. I think Among the Best, for instance, was one of those songs that totally flopped when it came out. Yeah. And now it's one of my biggest hits because I kept playing it. Brother of Conflict was the same.
It never flopped in my living room, by the way.
Oh, that's nice to hear. But on the dance floor, it flopped. When I created Brother of Conflict, I was like, okay, this is my new big hit. You know, it was after the Files. I started this new series. I think it was Promo Type.
The Types, yeah.
And I did Brother of Conflict, and I was like, oh, they're going to love it. And nothing happened. Like, colleagues didn't pick it up. They didn't play it. But over the years, it became a huge favorite of the fans. And now when you play it, it's like a classic.
They all want it.
Sometimes you have to stick by it and keep playing.
I love the songs like Brother of Conflict. I love that since day one. You just feel the meaning behind it, or there's being a meaning behind it. Yeah. Sorry, amazing.
Absolutely. I think it's like every track he does is like a big meaning behind it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I
man.
mean? Like we resonate with it, like we feel it, and it's like soothes us kind of. It's like meditation almost. And in Sydney, I could feel that crowd feeling that in. It's like you're putting another track, and you're like, yes, you know what I mean? Perhaps they don't even know what the track is, but they can the beat or the kick or whatever just brings them back up. So and then. Yeah.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah, it's always weird for me because I'm on the other side, in the studio as well as behind the decks. You're try to bring across an emotion or energy, or you know, and it's always guessing in the studio. Also, I'm there all alone, looking at a wall and looking at my speakers, like you know, I think this is what I like, and but it's weird that it comes across that you put something in frequencies and then you play it out, and then all the way on the other side of the world, there's people loving it. So that's amazing.
Yeah, after enjoying 2 nights of your sets, it felt like they walked away paying for the best psychologist and best psychiatrist in the world.
And a nice massage.
That's how good it felt in my spirit.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to imagine. But of course, I also have my heroes and artists that I really love. And for me, they do the same. So I can imagine what it's like to, you know, to hear these.
So on that, if we're backtracking a little bit, you weren't promo at the start. You didn't start out as promo. What other aliases did you have when you were young? What DJ names did you have, and how early or how young were you when you first started?
I think I was like 14, 15 when I started DJing, and I started as DJ Promo actually as first thing. Stupid name. Just back then everything was with a O. Dano, Gizmo, Pavo. So it needed to be something with a O. I thought I was 15 now. And then you had these, I bought a lot of stuff from the UK, like Jungle and Breakbeat, and they had these white labels, and there was always a sticker on it. And it said DJ Promo, not for sale. A DJ Promo is actually a white label test pressing that they gave to DJs to play, to test in the club, how they, you know, to get feedback. And they were not allowed to resell those copies. They were for promotional use. So I was 15, I was like, there's nobody that's going to take that name because it's, you know, it means something. It means that. So nobody's going to be that stupid to. So I chose it one day for, I think, for a school party. You know, I started out on like school parties when I was 14, 15 and said, oh, it's funny. And then, you know, over the years, the success came, and I was like, I remember after 2 or 3 years, like, shit, I need to change my name because it's such a shit name. Yeah. But then you couldn't anymore because people booked you already for that name, and then I was sort of stuck with it. It was
very good, very good.
Yeah, it's just, you know, you're 15. I mean, like, you're a kid, you don't know.
How did you study in the rave scene? Like, what year, how old were you when you first started? Like, partying and stuff like that?
Pretty young, because back then you didn't really have the age restrictions,
right?
You know, to go to parties. I think I was like 14 when I went to the first rave. I think Thunderdome 96 was my first big one, I think, or 93. When was the first one in TL?
Do you remember what party it was, or
the Thunderdome?
It was a Thunderdome.
Yeah,
okay.
It was not the first. Like the second or I think it's 93 maybe. So 92, I started DJing at home, and then, like I said, like local parties for school parties, then local clubs, and then you go to Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and then suddenly you go to Germany. It just sort of spread it wider and wider. But I think Thunderdome and Rave the not Rave the City, what was Dance to Eden, like Erotic City, and they had all these themed things back then. Those were the first. I was 14, 15, and my mom let me go. I still don't know why, but that was.
What was that feeling like, going to the first rave and experiencing that?
Well, I actually, I was on the dance floor, but not to dance my ass off and just with friends have fun. And I think that's mostly what people do. They go together and they hear this song and they go crazy on the song. And I was just focused on what were the DJs playing.
All right.
I was if I could, I would be the whole night next to the DJ booth, looking at the labels, like which record is that, which record is that, you know, trying to discover the songs. And then there was this whole hype of putting stickers on the labels, so you couldn't see what they were playing.
We had that here as well.
Printed, so there was always, until at one stage, I started giving small parties myself to get to know. I quickly understood that I had to get to know these DJs, that I had to be familiar with them, so to get into, you know, to get known and to be seen. So I went to all parties, and then one day I ran into DJ Pavo. And he was like, "Come on, kid, and sit next to me." He put me on on a chair in the DJ booth. He said, like, you can watch my whole set. He was one of my favorite DJs.
Yeah.
And he played these records and I was like, oh, this one is amazing. He said, here, he wrote down the title. And this one, oh, this is... So he gave me a whole list of all the... Yeah, he really helped me to find all the records I liked. And then a few weeks later, I was smart enough to go to a big party where Pavel was playing. And I was like in the crowd like, hey, and he was like, oh, come up. And he pulled me on the podium. And I was like, oh, shit, I'm on stage, you know. And that's how I sort of got myself into it. And I went to all parties where Dana was playing. He was like the biggest hero in Amsterdam then. And then after 3-4 parties, he was like, hey, aren't you that kid that booked me like a few weeks ago? Yeah. And then, oh, come on here. And, you know.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I sort of got myself into, I realized really quickly that I needed to be on every party and keep showing my face. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
And when did you start dabbling in making music, in producing?
Well, yeah, it was not really making music in the beginning. It was just sort of, you know, you buy a sampler and you sort of think you do some... In 95, I did the first records, not myself, or first tracks actually, with other guys because I didn't have a studio and I had ideas. But, you know, there's a big difference between having some idea and actually making a record.
Yeah.
So the first songs I did together with a bit more experienced producers. And I think in 97 or 98, I really... I think it was 96 that I ran into DJ Chosen Few and we got really good friends, like really friends. And he was like, oh, why don't you come into my studio and I show you how everything works. So after a while, we made a lot of songs together just out of fun. And then after a while, I bought the same equipment as he had because I knew how to work it. And then I started doing my own thing. And that was like the first Killing Fields and the Golden Stone, Beat Your Brain. They were heavily influenced by him. You can clearly hear that with the filter kicks. And actually this mid-sweep kick we discovered ourselves while we worked on his record.
Oh, wow. Playing together.
So that was the one, I think, after Name of My DJ, we sort of worked on together. But I was like just happy to be in his presence. You know, I didn't really claim like a part of the song or whatever. I was just like, oh, you know. And then the one after, it was called Danica, I think. I was trying to do something on the mixer and I grabbed the wrong button and then it was like with the kick drum and he's like, what the fuck did you do, you know? And then he was like, let me go, and he and then that's where the mid sweep kick sort of trick came from.
Nice.
So it was just, I learned a lot from him, and that after I just started doing myself, and it was like 97, 98 that I got sort of serious.
That's phenomenal. What was the first label that grabbed you and said, you know, be a part of us?
It was actually The Prophet who was playing in my hometown, and I made a cassette tape. For people, I don't know if everybody still knows what those are, but and I put some of these songs on that I made together with, and there was like 3 sort of more happy hardcore and 3 more darker stuff. And Prophet and Busfus were both playing at this party in my local town, and I gave them a cassette tape, like totally, here's my demo. And I thought it was on Friday night, I think, and I thought I will never hear from that again. I wrote my phone number on the back, and it was really And on Monday, the phone rang, and Monday morning, and it was The Prophet, and he was like, I listened to your tape, and it's amazing, and don't you want to come in my studio? We redo it, we mix it well. And I was like
yes.
What the fuck's happening?
So that was the first tape that you ever sent?
The first tape I ever made, the first demo. There was 6 songs, and he said, I like those 3 songs. I want to redo them. And I was like, okay. And I literally hang up the phone, and the phone rings again, and it was Buzzfuzz, like, I want to sign these songs. And I was like, holy shit. And he's like, no, I want the other 3. And I was like, what? So the first 6 songs we did together with the other guys, like 3 went to The Prophet and the other 3 to ID&T. And then Prophet got me a meeting at ID&T, the mighty Thunderdome back then. And I signed an exclusive contract. That went really quick.
That's all right. Do you remember what the 6 tracks were?
It was Punani, that is on Thunderdome 9, I think. That was my first Thunderdome. And there's another track called Deeper that we did and mixed, but was never released. It's actually going to come out on the Unreleased Project 4 in December. There's going to be a 4th
to look out for.
Yeah, so it was never released. And the other 3 were the tracks that were originally on Berserk Black Label 7. There's 2 versions. The first was a white label with Burning For You on it and some songs that never got released. But by the time I did that record, all happy hardcore stuff, it took like a year before Buzz was finally said, like, yeah, it's going to be printed now. And I was like, no. You know, I was a year further. I learned a lot about mixing, and I didn't stand behind the tracks anymore. They were really cheesy demo shit. And I was like, no, I want to show what I can do. And he said, okay, then then do a new one. And then I did a new version, and it was like with what was it? Can't Hold Me Down, Bad Boy Style. There was this Berserk Black Label 7 EP. So I got to redo the whole record, and right after I did the King of Pain record for him. But then I had a deal with ID&T out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was like the dream start. I thought you have to dream big. You start at the top, and you can always go, down to smaller labels. And but I was very lucky.
When they signed you, was it like you can make 3 albums with us or 3 EPs or?
No, it's just for a period. I signed for 5 or 10 years right away.
Right.
They signed everything that sort of moved and had some potential, and I think I signed for 10 years exclusive.
Right.
And then it's just up to you. You have to just start producing.
So you can produce as much or as little as you want in that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But there was like a Thunderdome CD every 3 months. And back then they sold like 200,000-300,000 copies.
They were everywhere.
So I heard stories from Busfus and Prophet. They were telling me, like, kid, if you get this song on the Thunderdome CD, you get like 10,000 guilders. That's about like there would be equivalent of 10,000 Australian dollars now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So there was a lot of money. So I was like, okay, that's worth it, So you worked your ass off, and you sort of started to lobby at the ID&T. Oh, I got this song. It's perfect for Thunderdome.
Yeah.
So every Thunderdome CD, you try to get some songs in there.
Yep.
And then you get statements of tens of thousands of euros.
Oh, wow.
It was just crazy. The money that you could make back then.
Fuck
You would have felt on top of the world.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I remember I was 19. I became part of this. I don't know what the association is called in Australia, but it's called the Buma Stemra in Holland. It's for the producers, where you get your money from,
Like
the
royalties.
Rights,
Yeah.
Right.
And they came in this letter, and I remember that I was like 18 or 19, and I opened it and I saw all these numbers. It was a statement. I couldn't really read it, and there was this big number on the bottom. I was like,
What is this?
So my mom came home and was like, "Hey, I got this paper. What does it mean?" So she called this association like, what's this 199.00 on the bottom?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, your son made like 199,000.
Wow.
And I was like, okay.
Your mum would.
And then that was the day that my mom said, okay,
I believe in you.
drop your school. You're gonna do the music. She
All
was
that
like- she was
equipment
totally-
investment.
So I made like,
Yeah.
that's like I don't know, like it would be now like 100,000 Australian dollar in a year. Of course, it built up. You get all these CDs, and the royalties all sort of get paid after 1.5 years. So it sort of built up, but with all these compilations and stuff. And she was like, "Yeah, what I'm gonna tell you, like, find a job." I mean,
you've got your job.
I made more than her in with doing music.
Yeah.
But that gave a lot of freedom. I was just in the studio all day, every day.
Yeah.
Just sleeping late. When I wake up, I start the computer until deep in the night, and then sleep. And
Keep
then
going.
it was just day and night.
And the track Don't Speak, where does that fall into that timeline? How early?
That was in 1997. I did some more serious stuff before that, but I didn't really get the attention from ID&T to be playing as DJ. I wanted to play on Thunderdome and Mysteryland and all these big events. And that didn't happen. They said, yeah, first you have to score a hit. So I was like really trying to do some serious stuff. I came out with Cold as Stone and Breach Your Brain. I was like, okay, that's serious stuff, but it didn't really, it got picked up, but not gave me my hit. And then one day my brother came in, he's a guitar player with his band, and he played me this song, Don't Speak. It was on the radio everywhere. And I was like, oh, he left to the store, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna fuck it up and put a 909
Sample that.
distortion on
Yeah,
it.
with a
And
bit of
like in
happy-
an hour, I threw this together, just this stupid,
Yeah.
hardcore version of Don't Speak. And I played it to him, and he was like all pissed off. Oh, you cannot do that to the music, and blah, blah, blah. But then suddenly they came with this XXX rated label on ID&T, where there was all songs with like tricky samples, like pop samples in it.
that may or may not have been clear.
Yeah, that you couldn't really clear.
Yeah.
And I played it to ID&T, and they were like, "Oh, this is gonna be a hit." And they pressed like 500 vinyls, and they gave it to DJs. And I remember like a month later, I was on Global Hardcore Nation, like the Thunderdome in Belgium, and that was the first party where they put me as a VIP on the VIP deck. I could go, as a VIP guest watching the party, and literally every DJ played that record for the whole night. I heard it like 7 or 8 times during the night.
Oh, wow.
So that was the track
That was the track. And then Monday they
blew you.
called and said, yeah, you're playing on Mysteryland main stage. And I was like, what do I have to do? What do I play? They said, as long as you play that song. That was the only thing they said.
Oh, wow.
So that, yeah. Afterwards, it was really shit to have a hit with that, because after I became way more serious with music and really against like stealing stuff from others. And, of course I use samples, but that was really an easy shot.
Yeah.
So and later on, I started even to hate like cheesy pop stuff with hardcore. But yeah, if you think about it, I sort of created the genre myself. It was a bit double always.
Yeah.
It's a love-hate relationship with that song.
I guess you were kind of cornered to create that track to please the label and whatnot. But then you kind of...
Yeah, but after I was on every Thunderdome CD 3 times, they put me everywhere. I was like,
So life dramatically changed after that?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I was on all the lineups. Went on Thunderdome on tour to France and Italy and Spain. We went everywhere. We went to Los Angeles suddenly. I played in LA on the biggest events with Thunderdome things. And
was it an every weekend thing? Every weekend?
No, not Los Angeles, but like more.
I mean like just
first you
touring.
play maybe once in 2 months, and then it was like 2-3 times a month and abroad and like bigger venues, and it went really quick.
And how did it feel when you played your first big stage? When you would have been young, a lot of people in front of you.
Yeah, that's...
it would have been intimidating for sure.
Yeah, of course. There was always like shaky hands the first few years, and
How do you feel you got through that? Was it just trying to suit yourself?
Yeah, you have to grow some balls and just do it. I mean, like, you don't really have a choice.
There's no backing out.
You want to do that, so you need to,
Mad.
Yeah.
I want to ask, who did you look up to in your early years? Maybe still do, probably still do.
Yeah, well, like I said, Chosen Few was one of the ones in the beginning. Roughneck, I always really liked the sound.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my, or I think the second demo after that tape I did was like really Roughneck oriented. But he didn't want to sign me because I was with ID&T. There was already politics involved. Buzz Fuzz was for me like the king. Like, I mean, production-wise, what he did with kick drums and these songs were just next level.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Isaac, I really liked. Like the whole, I like this Juno sound. You know, this quick, all the Isaac songs. Later on the Viper, like Baby Boom Dwarf records that I really like. And then Stun Guys came.
Yep.
Of course, they also had these really dark Juno sounds and 99 kicks. So those were the guys that really influenced me the most, I think.
Yeah, that's mad.
They're some of our favorite years as well.
Yeah. You just described everything.
Yeah, and later on, they came all these newer guys, like if we talk now, then Ophidian is like a mastermind.
Yes.
The Playa, one of the best producers out there. Those were the artists after that really, after my own fame came, that I was like, okay, those are still examples for me. I still feed from that. I still produce because they are producing,
Yeah.
Sometimes I think if they quit, then why should I continue? They're next level.
Oh, no, you got to keep going. You can't quit.
You must.
No matter what.
No, I still like it. So, yeah.
There's other people that look up to you too. So.
Yeah. I know
they'll quit.
I have to. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. So going from ID&T to creating your own label, The Third Movement, what was the thought process in that, and what was the driver?
Yeah, was it like a contract finishing? Was it?
No, we're all still on the contract. All the artists were. ID&T just dropped hardcore one day. They gave this party called Trans Energy, and they had this guy Tiesto. Nobody knew about him, and he played there. He cried on public TV that it was his biggest dream to play there, and suddenly everybody was like Tiesto and Tiesto, and the whole label ID&T, they just dropped hardcore. The people that were all we had this really big happy hardcore hype, 96, 97, 98. And after that, they just dropped it. The people walked away from that, like the masses. I mean, you have a party and from the 10,000 people, like 8,000 people left and followed the trance sound. And then we were playing for empty rooms. Hardcore was dead. The labels didn't want to put their records out anymore. We were the last, for years we were like the priority. It was like, making money on Thunderdome, and then suddenly we had to wait months and months and months to get a record out because they had to. We do trance now, we do hip hop, and we do techno, and like, but we're still here. What we want to continue? Please release a record. And no. And then we fought for like 6 months with the director back then from ID&T, Duncan Stutterheim. He was the boss, and I just went to his desk numerous times together with another guy. And I said, you have to let us go. Or you release our stuff and you support us, or you cancel our contract. And after 6 months of numerous attempts, they finally said, okay, we let you guys go. And then we were very cheeky. It was me and the label boss of ID&T that left. And we started our own label, The Third Movement. First, we wanted to call it Coop Records. We wanted to play, make a coup. Like stealing the whole Thunderdome, like taking over the control of the Thunderdome ID&T thing.
Yeah.
And later on, we came up with the name The Third Movement. And because it was for us the third movement within hardcore, you had like the origin of hardcore until the mid-90s. And the second movement was the whole happy hardcore, overkill. And then we wanted to start again with a new sound. So we came up with the third movement. And we just were two little brat kids of like 19 or 20. And we just called up the record plant because it was really difficult to get the contracts with Puma Stembra to be able to press a record, with the art design, with the mastering studio, you know. And we just called them up, oh yeah, ID&T quit. We're taking over the contract. And they were like, oh, okay. So we just bluffed our way, like, you know. We made this really dark black and white logo, like a bit like based on the PCP, Marco Kadipan. We had Miss Jax, was an acid label in Holland, Jax Upbeats. And we just tried to fake the funk. And we just did like we were this badass dark label. And we just took over all the contacts and started pressing records.
Good stuff.
And that's how we just started, yeah.
The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history, yeah.
How did you find starting your own label? Was it freeing? Was it...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always I never liked working for a boss, and that was it was scary also. But back then we were still making good money. You know, we're selling vinyls. If you did a vinyl, you sold 3,000-4,000 copies, so you made serious money with it. And the gigs were coming back up when we restarted the whole sound. But it's the best to, you know. It's a bit double because I'm a label boss now, and when you sign with my label, I get the rights to your music, you know. So it's double. But it felt really good to own all these rights and to get my stuff back.
And the first track you released with Third Movement, explain to us the feeling of that, the name of it, and why you chose that to be the first one. Was there something subliminal about it?
I think it was running against the rules. Funny thing, we had the record just before. I can maybe...
Yeah. Let's have a little chat about it.
Because you asked me why did the artwork change? Because before it was always black and white with the animal head.
That is my favorite file.
And then 6 has a totally different look with a like sort of U2 Bono glasses on. And in Industrial Zone we made the photo shoot. There was 2 reasons. We couldn't really... That design was from ID&T. So we were afraid that if we would copy that style and the design sort of steal it, that we would get into trouble. So we asked the designer to totally rebrand it. On the other side, I did 5 promo files before that, and the success wasn't really there. It's hard to imagine now because they became really successful after, but until promo file 5, nothing happened. I didn't sell a lot of records. DJs didn't play it. It was really... So I was sort of like, oh, that didn't work with the file kicks thing, you know? It was like I tried and didn't work. So that's why you hear a totally different sound on this record and the one after. And so we started with this one. I think it was the last record on ID&T actually, because we wanted to do new sound, new direction. And then when we started the label, we were like, no, we need to, you know, get the attention again of people. And they know the black and white thing. So that's why we went back to the Bird. Like the first release, we thought like, okay, we need to make money. You know, we had $0, so we needed to sell some records. So we went back again to the black and white with my face, so people would right away recognize like, hey, that's a new promo thing. But again, on Running Against the Rules, it's like totally off the chart, crazy, weird music. It has nothing to do with the promo files before.
And is that a statement, the name?
Yes. And it was heavily influenced. I remember very well, I went to Bologna to play in Italy. And there was this really small guy playing before me. I never heard of him. DJ Bike. And he was like mixing. And it was just like all over the place. It went from left, right, like, and kicks here and back and forwards. And it was just like a totally new sound, a new experience. Nobody heard this guy yet, and later on it turned out to be Noise Suppressor. And I was totally shocked by what he did. And I came back in the studio the next day and I made Running Against the Rules. It's also all over the place. It just stops all, you know, crazy kicks, weird vibes, and so that. And then after I got them to Holland. I told like Thunderdome, like, you need to hear these guys from Italy. So then we brought Noise Suppressor to Holland, and they got also into the scene. But that was. Yeah, I was heavily influenced by that experience that night of them playing some totally messed up version of hardcore.
Right. See, I always thought it was kind of like you're getting away from ID&T and you're like, I'm creating my own label. I'm getting away from those rules and I'm doing things the way I want to do it. That's the way I always perceived it. But it's good to hear.
No, it was like these guys didn't have rules. It was so mind blowing to hear these. There were two guys too. Then it was DJ Bike and another guy that one was scratching and one was playing.
Yep.
It was a duo, and they did that night, and I was like, okay, you know, that there's no rules to what they do. They're so out of the box, and that's why they're running against the rules.
Oh, thank God you started your own label. It's amazing. Should we go through some records?
Let's go through them.
You can tell us about where you were at that time in your life and some of the tracks.
Yeah, we
on it.
can. So I just next to me and we flick through them a bit.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we got Promo File 1, where it all started. This is the repress, but the original, of course, had the big dog on it.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird because this record, Dance Floor Hardcore, isn't really like the records after. Like the file kick only started on Promo File 2. And this one was really influenced by The Masochist.
Okay.
The Prophet started a new artist name, The Masochist.
Yeah, that's right.
Really slow, really dark, like Killing Scum he did. And that was, for me, a really groundbreaking record. I was like, hey, he's trying something new kick drums, slow tempo, melody. So I tried to sort of copy it. And that was Dance Floor Hardcore. It was heavily influenced by the Masochist sound. And then...
do they still call that new style? It was called new style, right?
Yeah, then it was called New Style, yeah.
What's it called now? Old school new style?
I don't know. So, but then a few weeks later, I bought a new sampler. And I worked on this song, not Metal Warfare, but on the track What the Fuck. And I found this filter on my sampler that make the classic promo file, you know, like where you filter through the frequencies.
Yes.
And I just messed around with this thing, and there was a kick drum running. I put the filter on, and out of nowhere, my whole house started shaking. I had my little studio above the kitchen with my mom, and the whole house started to vibrate when I did the filter. It was like, and then my mom was like screaming, like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And that's why it's called "What the Fuck." I was like, "What the fuck's happening?" You know, she was like screaming, like the whole house is shaking. So that's why it's called "What the Fuck." And that was the start of the promo file kick.
Yeah.
It was just something that a trick that you accidentally come across
by accident, something.
Yeah, in equipment. And so this was actually the real start, I think, of the promo files, file 2.
Right.
Because it's a totally different sound, very experimental, very dark. This was in the same time that hardcore died in Holland. Tempo had to go down. And I just went back to what was for me the true hardcore feeling. And that was like what Arkadipana did in the beginning of the 90s. Like We Have Arrived, Masculine United. That's for me the most hardcore record ever. And I think the real start of hardcore music, not the Gabber Rotterdam stuff that came after, but Mark did that. You know, Mark was the first one doing hardcore. And I want to go back to that feel, like this big hole, huge reverb, dark, you know, smoke machines, dark rooms, like really. And that's what influenced the most of the whole promo file kick. That was like my sort of ode to Mark Arkadipane, who always...
I think that this is one of the happiest moments of my life, you explaining that to me.
Yeah.
It's like a little childhood dream.
Yeah, it was like Mark was always like a big example for me. Like sound-wise, he's just, you know, one of the best. He just chucked out records, like they were all different. You know, Slave to the Rave is nothing like some 6 Million Ways to Die, or nothing like, you know, like all his hits, the Stereo Murder. It was such a genius, So after that, he became my number one producer, and I tried to sort of copy him in my own way.
Yeah.
And or not copy him, but he heavily influenced my music. So that's why we came through. That was a bit the start of the promo files. And then we had, you just asked me before, like, did you have alter egos? And then Unknown was one of them. This is a crazy story. On the cover, there's like a...
What's the album? What's it called?
It's called If I Had an R&B Bitch.
Oh, cool. I love that record.
2 stories in one.
Let's
I was going out then. I was like around 20. And there was this club in our neighborhood. And there was like the most beautiful women were there. But they only danced to R&B music. So me and my friends were always like, oh, if you can score one of these chicks, then you're really, you know, that's next level for... So we went to this club, and we were like 7 or 8 friends, and we're always trying to, you know, get on with one of these girls. And I was lucky enough to be the first one to actually...
Oh, there you go.
had a thing with one of these girls, and then that's where the title came from.
Not
Like
just
I always,
Is that her?
no, that's not her. No.
not just a great DJ or producer, but ladies man as well.
That was the title. And unknown. That was a dick move of me. There was this. I had to play in Germany at a party, and there was this guy playing before me, and I had to start at 1, and at 1:05 he was still playing. 1:10 he was still playing. So I said, "Hey, dude, I need to play." And no, fuck off, and I'll play. Blah, blah, blah. And he went like 20 minutes into my time, and I thought it was really disrespectful.
It is.
So I asked some guys, like, fuck, can I say fuck?
Yeah.
I already did now.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is this guy, you know? And I'm like, yeah, he's called DJ Unknown.
Yeah.
And back then I had like the promo power name, you know, with the releases.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, how better can I fuck him over than
I'm
to
gonna burn
release
him.
a record under Unknown,
Yeah.
the same name as his.
Yeah.
And I had all the reach already, of course, and the output and stuff. So I thought, okay, I just, as a fuck you to him, I just call it Unknown. And suddenly this was the famous Unknown and not this DJ from
Other
Germany
DJ.
anymore.
Yeah.
So that was a bit the dick move behind it. So that's fuck the rumors. It's all the titles are related to the situation I was in. I came as a new kid, bringing a new sound with really cocky R&B samples. You know, it's always like number one stands accused of running against the rules.
Yep.
It's always like, you know, there was, but for me that is hardcore. I came from the hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm better than you. I have a nicer car than you. I have a nicer chick than you. That for me was always hardcore hip hop.
Yep.
So I started to combine those samples with hardcore music, and that didn't say, like, I didn't think I was the best one, but for me that was, you know,
Yeah.
Well, you have to
you look tough and it's like hard.
Yeah, well, that's what rap
you
is
I'm
all
the
about.
best, you know.
Yeah.
And
You are.
and then all the
You
rumors,
are.
all the rumors came like, yeah, he thinks he's fucking arrogant, this promo guy, and you know, I always take time for my fans. I never thought I was arrogant. I was sure of what I was doing.
Yep.
I think that's a big difference.
It
I
is.
was really on a mission. I knew where I wanted to go with the sound. I knew what I was doing. I was proud of what I was doing, but I was never, I thought, arrogant. And that's why the track "Fuck the Rumors," because everybody was talking about, oh, this guy is so arrogant and blah blah. And I was just like, I'm a really nice guy. I just use samples that say I'm the best.
Yeah.
But that for me is hardcore. So
Yeah.
that's why most of the titles are all related to things.
Can I just say on that, growing up and listening to your tracks like that where you say I'm the best, we would sing that to ourselves, and then like it would encourage us to be better in life.
Oh,
too.
really?
Yeah. So
Oh, that's
it
cool.
would bring me up when I was sad or like just needed that extra push, like a big brother sort of thing. So thank you.
Oh, that's nice. I never heard
So
that,
that's how,
that
like,
approach.
You know, I thought like you were like teaching us lessons in life. Do you know what I mean? Like, believe in yourself sort of thing.
Well, like, in a weird way, even though you don't know, you're like a bigger brother to us. You know, you were there from the early days, and you were there through our happiest
crazy.
times.
Yeah, man.
So yeah,
Oh, I never heard that before.
100%.
Oh, that's really
Yeah,
nice.
because at points in life you don't have friends or you don't know who you can trust or whatever. But like you
Music's
just believe
also-
you believe in yourself. You know what I mean? 5 minutes of listening to your music just brings you up, and then you believe in yourself, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's always so weird to hear. I get so many stories of people that, you know, fell in love on one of my records or got through drug rehab, got through divorces, deaths, losses in the family. You get sometimes emails.
yeah.
It breaks me. Yeah, it's really special
Yeah.
to see that you are making some noise in your little studio, and it means so much to other people. It's really hard to comprehend sometimes, but it's so nice to hear always.
It's music's healing. So
Yeah,
it's,
100%.
for me too. You know, that's a weird thing because I get that out of other music.
yeah. Well,
And
there you go.
so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand, but it's weird if it's about your music somehow.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, good.
That was awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
More records.
Yes.
What else have you got there for us?
Yeah, I think this was also, okay, this was pre-promo file, of course, but also like really, I'm really proud of these records.
Mhm.
That was also a bit new style. I was really heavily into jungle and drum and bass in that time. And I tried to combine it also affected by the sound of Roughneck that used a lot of break beats.
Mhm.
And this is sort of a mix of Roughneck meets Chosen Few with a promo touch. And yeah, I did. It's called Beat Your Brain because I was pissed with my girlfriend of that time. She cheated on me and I wanted to be the brain. And then after I did that song in like 2 hours, I was so pissed. I wasn't done, so I did Beat Your Brain again. I just needed
Just one more time.
it was more like not because of the anger, but just because I felt there was more in the track. I wanted to do a different take on it. I always use like emotions to do tracks. You can
We
be
can feel
heavily
that.
in
We
love
feel
to
that.
do a track. You can be very pissed. You can be sad. You can be, I think we're all human. We all have these emotions.
Yeah.
And I just need a very small little emotion or idea or something that sets me off to do a track. And that just gives me the energy to
push forward.
So
and
that's
to
how your
push forward.
tracks sometimes start or always start or just within
like half of the time.
half the time. Amazing.
Yeah. Mostly you're just in the studio and messing around with some samples. I mean, like, freak your speaker. What the damn is that about? I mean, like taking you back to the next millennium. You know what I'm saying? That was my humor. Like taking you back to the next millennium. You know what I'm saying? Like, it says nothing. It's just gibberish,
Yeah.
But yeah, it becomes
Yeah,
cold killium. What the fuck is that? I mean, like it says nothing. Sometimes it's just humor. Mostly it's humor. Sometimes it's just irritation.
Oh, it
That's
sounds
how
cool.
how I
Is that Public Enemy, that sample?
Flavor Flav. That's
Yeah.
one of his
Flavor Flav,
solo
yeah.
songs. It just helps me to how you say it, like get rid of my emotions and express myself, and it's really for me. I did some records that are very heavy statements, sometimes against colleagues or other people, but I never told anyone who it was for or.
Yeah.
But for me, I know exactly when I play the song. I'm like, oh yeah.
Can
Remember that
This
day?
guy,
Can
this
you
guy
share
stealing
those-
my kicks. This guy talking shit about me. There's a lot of records that
Ooh.
if they would know, they would be like, oh,
Oh, it's about me.
Can you share some of the tracks without telling us who the artists were?
I have to think. A bullet for my gun.
Right.
Used to be the man and shit. Now
Used to
you're
be-
nothing without a hit.
Yeah.
Steal my rhymes.
Mm.
That's
Used to be the man and shit.
one of my heroes that fell off by stealing one of my songs. I
Oh,
sent a
really?
demo and he remade the song and then a huge name. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah. So I was really, that.
You hurt.
But
Heartbroken.
I'm not the
Yeah.
person that go online and there
Yeah,
was no online back then. But
Yeah.
like shout like, hey.
You vent
But
through
for
your
me,
music.
I vented it. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, I vented it through the
music,
song and
yeah.
But every time I play it, I'm like, okay, there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of these songs, but just
Yes.
yeah. What else we got? Should we go to that one? We just talked about this before.
Yeah.
You actually had this in your collection, but this is not my record. This is not. We did the Triple X rated. It was called Shut Up because the original was Don't Speak. So I thought Shut Up is a funny reference to it. I was working for Midtown at that time, the record store in Holland. They had a chain of record stores. It was a big shop. And ID&T was really resilient to release the Triple X rated because of the sample. They were afraid we were going to get a claim from No Doubt. So they were holding back on it for weeks and weeks, and I was like, "Put it out! It's a hit!" I gave away some recordings on DJs, and they all started to play it already from that tapes back in the. And they didn't want to press the record because we don't know if it's safe and should we do it, and it's
Yeah.
such a hit, and then this company, the company I work for, Midtown, ripped me off and came with Without a Doubt, Don't Speak.
Oh,
This
wow.
was the girlfriend of the label, the boss, the director of the shop. They re-sing it in a weekend, like a horrible version, I think, really false, and it was just like. And they came Without a Doubt, Don't Speak, and I was working for them in their shops.
it
I
came
was
out.
a record store manager for one of the shops,
Yeah.
and they just fucked me over and pressed this record. Sold like 4,000 or 5,000 of them.
Wait, so you were working there. Did you actually sell?
I had to sell it, yeah. I
wow.
didn't. I took it out of the shop where I was working.
Throw
And
it like
I
a
was
frisbee.
really pissed because they
That's
were
a
my.
big fuck you.
You
isn't
could
it?
have,
Yeah.
yeah, you could have told me.
Yeah.
So then I actually, I couldn't sue him because of course I stole, but I was really pissed. And then in the end they were like, okay, I don't even know if don't think on the record they came. What happened was that this song, because my song was a hit on the dance floor, people thought that it was this version.
Yeah.
Because the other one wasn't available, they started to buy this one,
Yeah.
and it actually went into the top 50 songs on Dutch radio.
Oh wow.
They started to
sucks.
play this. So my idea, my record was copied, and they started, because mine was not available, to play this on the radio.
Yeah.
And then it went up in the charts, like big money back then. And I was like,
And you didn't get any of it.
no. So then they
royalties,
started to print a CD single,
Mhm.
like the CD version. And there they put my version on the
Okay.
B-side to sort of.
ease attention.
But I was always pissed. I thought it was, on the other hand, it's not my song.
Mhm.
But I thought it was really low that while I was working for them,
Definitely.
that they just
Terrible, yeah.
so burn this record.
Oh, we'll throw it like a
Oh,
frisbee.
yeah.
Mate, I'll snap
Frisbee
it.
it.
I'll snap it right now.
I think on the B-side there was a sort of okay track. I don't know what they also ripped it off. What was it? There was another.
All right, let's burn it.
But
Yeah.
that's just. That was that song.
Boo.
Little frustrated.
Midtown. Shit go.
Oh, we got here another one. Freaky Speaker. I think probably my biggest hit up until now, or one of them at least. This was, I think, the third label on the record. Back then, Trackstorm came up with Stun Guys. They had this guy, what was it? Impulse Factory.
Yep.
Hardcore Will Never Die. I don't know if
Yep.
you know the song.
yeah.
Hardcore
Hardcore
Will Never
Will
Die.
Never
Yeah.
Die.
If you listen to that riff. I recreated the sound and reversed that riff.
Okay.
It's exactly
Makes
the
sense,
same.
yeah.
I came across the synth fucking around and made that song. And I thought like, okay, I need to release it on Trackstorm Records because it's so a copy of that Impulse Factory
It's the right
song.
thing to do.
Yeah.
It was totally in their sound. And so the title changed 20 times because it was like taking you back to the next millennium. So first was freaking your speaker. And then it was like, I don't know what, freak yes, your speakers. And then this guy in my office said it should be freak yes, speaker. And then it was like, okay,
More
we do
gangster.
that. So I sent it to Max from the Stun Guys, Trackstorm, and told him like, hey, listen, I made this and it's so Trackstorm sound. Wouldn't it be cool to release it? So he listened to it and said like, nah, I don't like it.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, are you sure? I think it's really a strong record. I'm really proud of it. It's like, no, I don't like it. So then I was like, okay, then
I'll just release it.
I'll do it.
I released it on my own label.
Mm.
We made a big error. We tried to be, this was the beginning of third movement with the black and white, really minimal. So there's this real small DJ promo freaky speaker. Before then, you had covers like this that really draw attention. Like right
Stood
away,
out.
you could read what it was. We put it like really, we tried to be like, do a new style.
Minimalistic. Yeah.
Nobody could find the record
Mhm.
because you hear like, taking you back to the next millennium. There's no freaky
Freaky
speaker
speaker,
in the
yeah,
song.
yeah.
So we made a huge error. So it took months before this record started selling, before people understood that this was the hit record on this stupid little cover.
And again, this was before social media and everything. Correct?
Yes.
So it's
Yeah,
a
so
lot
this
harder
is in
to
the
push.
record store like that, in between like covers like this, and nobody picked this
Yeah,
black
it's
cover
hard.
with a little white text on it until
that-
they found it, and then we sold thousands of this record.
2003, 2002, around there.
Yeah,
Okay.
2, I think, 1 or 2.
Yep.
And then after, of course, when this became the biggest hit of that era, then of course Max just could cry. He was like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, I should have signed that record."
Is it
What
too
did I
late?
do?
Yeah, yeah. So that was Freaky Speaker. And Beast Machine's another alias where we did some crazy
Mhm.
drum machine. It was like
Samples.
a 5 a.m. after a party. It was just total rubbish. but
Craziness.
It needed a B-side, yeah. Want
Oh,
some
yeah.
more? We got one last one.
So you made tracks at 5 a.m.?
Yeah, sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah. When I come home from a party, played, had all the energy, and then you get the fresh feedback from the crowd. You play your new song, and then like, I need to do more. Sometimes
some
totally,
idea.
and then that you were 20, 21, you could easily skip a night. Now I wouldn't think about it anymore. But
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we got a last one, more recent one.
More recent one.
Half this vinyl is like some of the biggest hardcore classics, and the other half is actually songs I produced. I had a really big dream already since like 15 years to ever make a score for a movie or a documentary,
Mhm.
because I like making sound, but I think combining sound and vision is like the ultimate thing.
Mhm.
So I was really wanted to challenge myself to see if if somebody would give me a movie, what would I do
Yeah.
with it? And then I was really involved by the creation of the documentary. In the documentary, you see also my way to the 2017 set, this used mega mix set that we played in the main. And these guys asked me like, "Do you maybe want to do the soundtrack of the documentary?" So that was for me like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Thunderdome combined with doing the soundtrack.
It's meant to be.
So they're really like instrumental, like really more atmospheric tracks that I did. But it was, I wanted to. And then I was like, I buy a lot of vinyl of sound scores, like Hans Zimmer and these kind of things. I really like that. So I always. So I thought it needs to be a vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then I called ID&T. It's like, oh, you need to print this on vinyl. Like, I think. And back then they were just getting back into Thunderdome, didn't really do vinyl CDs and stuff. And they said, "Oh, why don't you press it?" I was like, "Really? Can I press the fucking soundtrack on my label?" Yeah, why not? So I signed the deal until we sold like 2,500 copies of this album. Made a shitload of money, and they were like, "Oh,
maybe we should have taken that."
Yeah. So now they're doing their own vinyl after this one. Yeah. But yeah, it was awesome.
That's all officially yours, and none of it is Thunderdome's.
Sorry?
None of the money that was made off it is Thunderdome's. That's
no, of course. There's the songs. I know, but yeah, no, they gave the okay to use the artwork from the documentary and the logo, and like we did with Thunder in My Heart, and we were one of the few labels that sometimes could borrow the Thunderdome name or link to it.
Nice.
So I was really thankful, but this was a really special project. I loved the artwork. I loved the documentary.
The documentary.
For people who didn't see it, go watch it. It's really. Really about the heart and the spirit behind Thunderdome. So, yeah,
phenomenal.
It was a bit old man's dream.
No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
it kind of revolves back around, kind of thing, like from where you started and then what you wanted to do, and then you got to create it.
Yeah.
So
it was really, really special to because I got the documentary as the first, and then you see image, and you have to sort of touch like keys while you see the image.
Yeah.
It was such a. There's one song on there. If you check the documentary out, there's one part where I play piano, and there's this gabber like doing the hakken, but in slow motion. You see him like dance like this, and I really went on the keyboard like on the rhythm that he was dancing. I played like the keys, but it works so well in the movie. If you see it, there's so much emotion in the. If you're really a true fan of my music, check out the soundtrack I did, because you will definitely hear the promo vibe, but like toned down.
Gonna have to watch it again now.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, you see me sitting in the studio. There's all these little crazy ideas. There's like the muted dance floor track, and you hear like what you would hear if you're outside of a rave. When you arrive in a party,
the outside
like
bass.
Like,
I love that sound.
When you're outside,
really excited.
This song, I just put like this filter on the kick where you only hear like the boom, boom, boom. Like it really reminds me of standing outside of this big hall before you went in. So.
Yeah.
Can we ask about this one?
Oh, please do. I think you already paid some attention to this.
A little bit.
We have.
To this album.
So tell us in your words, like where your head was at, still is at. What they mean to you, some of the tracks.
Well, life's not always about ups. There's also some downs.
Yes.
And I went through a big down. I went through a divorce. We went through Corona. Hard times for everybody, I think. But this is my most personal album I think I ever made. I always, use humor and samples and stuff, and of course, emotion. But this one was the first time I sort of put my soul out there, and it's I say it when you have to when you go through a different time and you have to process everything. This was my way of sort of ending that processing. I sort of needed to put it into music, and these songs are very dear to me. They're very...
A lot of emotion.
Yeah, if you listen to the samples used, not Promo Bitch, of course. That was just my funny thing coming through again.
A party track.
But if you listen to these songs like Drowned by Daylight and Beneath the Waves, especially if you listen to the vocal, it was me battling with a dead marriage and a new love at the same time. And that's what the sample is about. It's somebody just turned around. So it's it's a very personal album. It was very scary to do, but in the same time, I hope that my fans sort of understood it, because if you get, if you feel the emotion that I put in there, then this one should hit really hard. I think it's a very dark album. I never did a dark album like this, but yeah, there's a few tracks. The best one, of course, is again this bragging promo.
Yeah,
I'm the
yeah.
best
Typical,
one.
yeah, typical. Which we expect, but there were other tracks that we didn't expect, and we're like, oh, what's this new sound?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So it took us a
yeah.
little while.
That's what I also thought. It was really a new direction, and that was after years of also being in Corona. Divorce. You have to move houses. You have to move studios. So I was in a happy place with someone new, but in the same time in a shit place, house wise and studio wise. And I made a lot of demos because I needed to sort of ventilate and make music, but I didn't get the chance to finish it. And last year we bought this awesome house and I built an awesome studio. And then I just loaded all these projects and I was like, okay, it needed to be finished and out of the way, done with,
Yeah.
like
Move on.
yeah, move on. Yeah, it was like a sort of grieving process and just like, okay.
Yeah.
So that was this album and I'm
Wow.
very proud of it. I love the cover. Beautiful picture and artwork and
Yeah.
amazing. So very
Yeah, we felt the emotions when we listened to it.
Definitely.
We did a little review on it and 100% agree. We could feel all that emotion and we could see that your headspace was in a different
totally
scenario
yeah.
where you weren't before. So
Yeah.
this was like a transition, like almost like Richie's analogy, like a fine wine getting better and better. That's like the red,
It felt also
It's like-
for years, after years, finally a real step forward or sideways. I don't know, I don't think everybody got the album, everybody liked it because it's, it's not really dance floor oriented. I made also some dance floor songs, like Fall in Love with Music came out and the first Rebirth rework. And so there is also some party music. And I sort of created a second album in the same time because there was also dance floor tracks. So I'm hoping to release that in the beginning of next year and finish those. So it's going to be like a light party album with jokes and melodies and more, ravey stuff. But this needed to be done. So
You need to bend that out and say, well,
yeah, it's
Stage complete.
yeah, totally.
When can we expect this new album that you're talking about?
As soon as I stop touring and be in Australia and Mexico and these kind of places, yeah, you need to be home.
have you started any tracks yet, or do you have them?
Yeah, I have sort of,
Pressed?
yeah, you're never done mixing wise and stuff, but I think it's there's enough tracks. Yeah, there's at least 20, 25 tracks laying around, and I need to filter which ones are gonna make the end cut. I make a lot more music than I release.
Okay.
I'm critical about other people, but I'm biggest critic of myself.
Are you like Prince where you have a vault and they're all hidden away?
There's 400
Nah.
albums.
Yes,
Tupac.
but
Yeah,
you
Tupac.
have to trust me that I also make songs that are not that good sometimes.
I don't know.
And
It's the one time I'm not going to trust you.
This one we don't believe you.
no, I with the unreleased projects, I already released some of those songs that I was like, yeah, but they were out of that time. They really captured the '90s feel. They were original from the '90s, and people love it. But I don't know. I'm a big Prince fan with his vault, like you said. There's supposedly 300 albums in there. I don't know if we should hear it. As an
Well,
artist,
Yeah.
I would love to hear what Prince did,
Yeah.
but in the same time, there's a reason that they're in the vault.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have released it.
Mm.
And I don't know, if something would happen to me and somebody would just grab all my recordings and release all that albums or songs that I was not happy with, I don't know if that would feel right. So maybe that vault should say closed also.
Maybe.
And I
maybe
say that
not.
as a huge Prince fan. So
Yeah.
I'm very curious.
You get it.
but he gave us so much beautiful music. So
Yeah. No, he
Definitely.
did. Okay.
Well, this wouldn't be the 909 Kickz podcast if I didn't ask you what your favorite kicks are to wear to a rave and to wear behind the decks.
my favorite kicks? Oh, sneakers. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, the Air Max 1 I like better.
Yeah. They did it right the first time.
Sorry?
They did it right the first time.
Yeah, no, I it's really a weird story, but I never wore Nike Air Max until, I don't know, 6 years ago or something. I
Right.
never owned a pair.
Oh, really?
And then somebody told me, yeah, they're really comfortable. And I just bought one pair and then I was hooked.
Yeah.
And now
Very-
my soon-to-be wife complains that I have too many sneakers. In our
It's a
bedroom.
collection now.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah,
it's
once you buy,
it's,
then you can't
it's,
stop.
it's a hobby within a hobby.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first. Promo is the best and MX is the best.
There you go.
Confirmed. Well, thank you very much, Sebastian.
Thank
for
you guys
coming on
for-
board.
Thank you so much for
having me.
coming here, taking time out of your busy schedule.
Oh,
This has
We really
been
appreciate it.
a dream beyond the dream to watch you play in 2 different cities and then have you on our podcast. So,
And pick your brain.
it was
Yeah.
my pleasure.
like you, we're living the dream right now. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it. So,
99 Kickz out. Thank you.
thank you.